Thank you very much. I'm opening the meeting now at 2 o'clock on Thursday, the 5th of November, this special meeting for Council. And we'll start by a welcome to country by Councillor Kunzelman.
Acknowledgement of country. Ipswich City Council respectfully acknowledges the traditional owners as custodians of the land upon which we meet. Excuse me. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present and emerging, as the keepers of the traditions, cultures and stories of a proud people.
Thank you very much, Councillor Kunzelman. We'll now move on to the opening prayer, and I'll ask the Deputy Mayor to please take us into prayer.
Heavenly Father, grant that we who seek to serve you in the affairs of this council may have wisdom in our deliberations, the guiding of your hand in our works, and the grace to serve together to advance the prosperity of our city. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. We'll now move on to item 4, apologies and leave of absence. I have none. I'll open it up. There are none, thank you. We'll now move on to declarations of interest in matters on the agenda. Do we have any declarations of interest? Councillor Fechner.
Thanks, Mayor. In accordance with Section 150 EQ of the Local Government Act 2009, I, Councillor Andrew Fechner, inform the meeting that I have a declarable conflict of interest in item number 6.2, entitled Finalisation of Leasing Negotiations for Cinema Operator in the Nicholas Street Precinct, because of my business interests in both Bar Heisenberg Proprietary Limited and A1A Proprietary Limited, located at the top of town in Ipswich. I propose by dealing with this by leaving the room while the matter is discussed and voted on.
Thank you very much, Councillor Fechner. Appreciate that. Are there any other declarations? Councillor Madsen.
Thank you, Mayor. In accordance with Section 150 EQ of the Local Government Act 2009, I, Councillor Jacob Madsen, inform the meeting that I have a declarable conflict of interest in item 6.2, titled Finalisation of Leasing Negotiations for Cinema Operator in the Nicholas Street Precinct. The nature of the declarable conflict of interest is I'm a member of the executive of the Ipswich Trades Hall and Labor Day Committee. We operate the Ipswich Trades Hall in the middle of the CBD, and as such, I will deal with that conflict by leaving the voting room while the matter is considered and voted on.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Madsen. Are there any other declarations of interest? And I'd like to thank Councillor Fechner and Madsen for declaring those conflicts of interest. Thank you. Before we go to the officers' report, I think it's probably cognizant for us just to mention the hailstorm that happened here in Ipswich on Saturday night, on Halloween, and our thoughts, and I know that every single councillor here has been working very hard since Saturday night to help residents, and there's been some long hours put in by the council organisation, but also SES, QFES, Rural Fire, the police, and the YMCA at Springfield Lakes, the Rosewood Community Centre as well. So our thoughts and prayers are with the residents of Springfield Lakes, Springfield, Rosewood, Willowbank and Thurgoona, and we're working tirelessly to help you. And don't forget to reach out to the YMCA at Springfield Lakes if you need any support, or the Rosewood Community Centre. Thank you. I'll now move on to Officers' Reports, 6.1, Adoption of the Ipswich City Council's Annual Report. The recommendation is that the Ipswich City Council Annual Report 2019-20, as detailed in Attachment 8, be adopted. I believe we have an amendment. So the amendment to that recommendation is that the Ipswich City Council Annual Report 2019 to 2020, as detailed in Attachment 8, be adopted following councillor input. That following councillor input doesn't really sound correct. Actually, maybe it was correct to have that, because we want to adopt it today, but note that we'll be updating councillor profiles. Sia, do you mind if I just get you to assist
Yeah, I'll just
with the wording of that?
should be adopted with council input in relation to
Updating the council profile.
updated council.
Yep.
I think that's clear enough.
Thank you, CEO. May I have a mover for that, please? Thank you, Councillor Milligan. A seconder? Thank you, Councillor Doyle. I'll now open this up for discussion. I guess the discussion, I'll just point out that the key highlights of this report, that the theme for this annual report is transparency, as per the report, and this gives us the first of the 5 principles that underpin the Local Government Act. And I think we should be really proud as a council organisation and also elected reps of some of the notable achievements for 2019-20, including the continued work on the Ipswich Central CBD redevelopment, new processes for fraud and corruption management. We've developed and launched a good governance guide for ethical practices and decision making. We've established an ISO safety standards across the organisation, a first for local government in Australia. We have adopted a Buy Ipswich local procurement policy. We introduced a small business concierge program, a personalised service to best understand and support local business needs. And we welcome more than 2 million visitors to our beautiful city, adding over $280 million to the local economy. We opened the new Springfield Central Sports Complex. We introduced a new development planning independent decision review panel. We endorsed a new Indigenous Accord 2020 to 2025. We delivered the Carolee Library Pod, a first for Australia, and I know we have many other cities who are wanting to emulate that. We adopted a koala conservation and habitat management plan. We developed the Transparency and Integrity Hub in preparation for its launch in July. We developed a citywide 3-year capital works program, and importantly, we also established a complaints management unit. These are some of the key highlights of that report, and I want to commend the organisation for doing this. I guess this new council only came in the last 2.5 months of this annual report, so I want to commend the organisation for the work that they did leading up to that. And thank you very much, CEO, for that work. If there's no other discussion, yes, Councillor
Point
Tully.
of clarification,
Yes.
Mayor. Is this an amendment or is this the motion being?
This is the motion.
So the word amendment should be deleted, is that correct? On the left? Yep. I understand the committee clerk has got another amendment to be displayed in relation to committee membership, which is not clear. And if you look at the table currently being proposed, so I will move, or perhaps the mover and seconder are happy to incorporate this, that to include the words "the council committee membership is identified in the table on page 63 by way of shading or notation." At the I'll move that, and then I'll give a very brief explanation.
Yeah, sure. I think
Or propose it to the...
Yeah. So do we need to do a formal amendment? Just go to Councillor Milligan.
No, if the mover and the seconder are happy with that.
So I understand,
like
councillors, how you're wanting to move that so it actually accurately reflects what.
Yes, because it
committees
just had
people are part of.
zeros there whether you were a member or didn't
Correct.
attend, so it wasn't
Yes.
clear in the current table whether or not you're a member or not of a particular committee.
So
That's all I need to say.
would you like to explain a bit more so the movers and seconders?
Yes. Under the current table, for example, along certain lines, a zero was showing, which wasn't clear if someone had failed to attend and were a member, or weren't a member at all. So this, by the shading, I think it probably fixes that issue to make it quite clear.
Sure. Thank you. Councillor Milligan, as the mover, are you happy with that amendment?
Yes, I am, Mayor.
Deputy Mayor, thank you very much. So we'll add that table. Thank you very much, Councillor Tully. Are there any other discussions, amendments? In that case, I'll put this to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous. Thank you very much. I'll now let Councillor Fechner Madsen leave the area. Thank you. We're on to item 6.2, the recommendations that council endorse the commercial terms of the proposed lease with the cinema operator for the Nicholas Street precinct, and that the Chief Executive Officer be authorised to finalise the terms of the lease as detailed in this report and the confidential attachments, and to enter into the lease with the nominated cinema operator. Noting the commercial nature of this, I'd like to propose that we move into closed session to discuss the commercial confidence nature. I'll move that as a. May I please put that to the vote? Those in favour to go into closed session, please raise your hand. Thank you. It's unanimous. Let me know when we're off.
And we're live.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm looking for someone who will move recommendation A and B. Councillor Doyle, thank you. And a seconder, Councillor Kunzelman, thank you very much. I'm going to open up for discussion. Any further discussion, noting that a lot of the stuff is commercial in confidence? No, then I'll put that to the vote. Those in favour of these two recommendations, please raise your hand. And I note that we have Councillor Doyle, Councillor Milligan, Councillor Tully, Councillor Jonik and Councillor Kunzelman have voted in favour. Those against, please note that Councillor Ireland voted against. Thank you very much. No one abstained. Thank you. We'll now wait. We'll move on to the next item. We'll wait for Councillor Fickner and Councillor Madsen to come back.
What? Do we need to take an adjournment or? Okay.
It went through.
What's going on?
I voted against it, but it went through.
Between the Borough Council, it's right at the beginning of the report.
All right, item 3.
No, it's here.
In the way that is decided by the council.
Thank you very much. Welcome back, Councillor Fickner and Councillor Madsen. We are now on to a late item, which is the Chief Executive Officer Annual Performance Appraisal Policy. I'll have those. I think we've had an amendment through in that policy beforehand. That's been sent out to all councillors. Let's wait for it to go up. The two amendments was earmarked to all the councils. Have everyone seen those two amendments?
Page 3.
So recommendation A is that council consider that and resolve to adopt the CEO annual performance appraisal policy that sets out in the way in which the performance appraisal be conducted. And that B, that council resolve to establish an advisory panel chaired by the Mayor with a minimum of 2 councillors as members to assist the Mayor in the conduct of the CEO's performance appraisal in each financial year. May I have a mover, please? Councillor Kunzelman, thank you. May I have a seconder? Please, Councillor Milligan, thank you very much. I'll now open it up for discussion.
Are we just moving these amendments or are we moving resolution?
Well, because we've put that up, that's now the motion.
Yeah, okay. So I just would like to make another amendment if I may.
Okay.
Just that, because this is a late report, I haven't had much time with it, but it seems like there's a duplication within the policy. So I'm on page 2 of the policy.
Yes.
Dot point 2, where it says that the Mayor appoint the advisory panel and 2 councillors. So that point there, it's almost duplicated down where it says where council is to. Resolve to establish a panel chaired by Mayor and a minimum of 2 councillors. So I was thinking, would it be prudent and best practice governance and transparency if we just removed dot point 2 in number 6 and then amended the dot point, the second dot point under council is to.
I think if you're going to remove one, you would remove it from the council is to, because under the Local Government Act. Would that be correct?
Through the Mayor.
Yeah.
I think
I'll ask because Councillor Fickner is providing that.
Yep, so I was thinking that, so council resolved to establish, which is chaired by the mayor, and a minimum of 2 councillors as members, as resolved by council, to assist the mayor, so that it's a council resolution, so we decide in a public forum who is actually on that panel, with that particular wording there.
Well, I think the way that this policy is written here, that is that the mayor would select who is on that panel as part of my responsibilities under the Act.
Okay,
So you're saying there's a conflict in the policy?
yeah, well, I just thought that might have been a duplication that needed fixing. I mean, in any case, I'm of the opinion that council should select those members of the panel.
I guess we'd have to debate. Do you want to put, I guess you get to move the amendment and we'll debate it, I guess.
Yep, no worries. So, sorry, Vicky, I'll work with you there.
Which dot point are we looking at?
So I think we're looking at, on page 2, it says council, you're looking at wanting to remove one of the points, I think, Councillor Fickner, is that right?
Yeah, so
The second point on page 2?
yeah, remove or just make clear that it's a decision of us all. Yeah. So I think that to make that easier, it would just be removing 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So that's 6.2 you were talking about?
6 point, yeah, 6, yeah, dot
That's
point.
effectively 6.2.
6.2.
Yeah, 6.2, yeah.
And yeah, and then amending dot point 8, where it says councillors as members, comma, as resolved by council. Yep, to assist.
Can I just ask, Thea, when was this policy published? When was this sent out to all the councillors?
Sorry?
When was this policy sent out to all the councillors? Because I think we were briefed on it. That was what was sent.
It was Monday,
Sent out Monday.
Monday evening or Tuesday.
Monday or Tuesday. Okay.
Yeah, apologies, I haven't had much time with it, but that's just something that I picked up in there. But happy to hear alternative views as to why not. Yeah. And probably defer to the CEO.
What is dot point 8? Sorry, I'm looking at.
So the dot point 8, it's like 6.8, but it's
1,
the
2,
second one under councillor 2.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And yeah, I might, through you, Mayor, defer to the CEO to see if that's actually in keeping with the legislation, if that's able.
Before we do that, you've got to do a mover and a seconder, and then we'll go through the process. Yep. So I just want to make sure what we have here.
Mayor,
Just wait till the.
he's amended something that we already had a mover and seconder to.
Yeah, and that becomes an amendment, a formal amendment.
That's a formal amendment that we have to debate whether we actually take on that amendment.
And we debate that amendment,
Yep.
and then if that amendment succeeds, you then put it to a vote. If it fails, it falls
In that
away.
case, may I put forward a foreshadowed amendment then? My foreshadowed amendment would be to remove 6.2. Oh, sorry, not 6.2, 6.8. Correct, yes. Thank you very much. So we'll go to see if we will take that amendment. So obviously I'll go back to the amendment that Councillor Fickner has put forward? Thank you.
And we should have need a mover and second.
So, I'll just,
I
before that, are
move
you happy
that,
to move
yes.
that?
Yep.
Councillor? May I have a seconder for that, or not?
No, I'll say.
Yep, Councillor Johnny? Thank you very much. We'll now move into the discussion on this point. Councillor Fittler, would you like to go into that?
Yeah, so the only reason that I bring this to everyone's attention is that I think that it would be best practice for our council in terms of our governance and transparency to make the decision about that panel in an open forum and require council resolution for that. It's a very important job to be the CEO of our city, and I think that, you know, that we should all have a say in who is on that panel led by the mayor, and that we all need to have a say in a very public forum so that the public are aware of who's on it, who's making those decisions, who's a part of that assessment panel, and then it gives more visibility over that, I guess.
Just for everyone, that the Local Government Act does say the mayor has the following extra responsibilities, and D is conduct a performance appraisal of the CEO, at least annually, in a way that is decided by the local government, so by here, including as a member of a committee, for example. And just as background, I think when probably back in May or June, I asked the CEO for some HR support to be able to do this, because I think at this stage the CEO, your KPIs have not been signed. You started, February last year, and that hasn't been signed off at all. And so I wanted some support in that, so I've asked the organisation to provide that, and Davidson's are providing that support. I met with them for the first time yesterday. I did ask them this question about is it the call is the mayor who's on that or not, and they told me, and their advice was that it should be. My intent was to ask for the deputy mayor to be one of the other two, and obviously that's rotating each year, so I thought that'd be good professional development for everyone. That was the approach I was going to take. And then for that second spot, I was actually going to open it up and say who would like to do it, and have you email me just to let me know why, if you'd like to do it. And in particular, the advice, I'm just going to go to my notes from Davidson's on the skill set of the person that should be on that panel, on that committee. So pardon me while I look at my notes. Okay. So the advice I had from Davidson's that the people on this panel should have experience in the corporate environment and in the business environment, and they should have a broad range of experience in leading people, managing teams, and certainly having governance experience. So that was my approach in doing that very openly with you, no secrets or anything like that, but that's the approach that I was going to take.
Yeah, to you, Mayor, I would argue that, I mean, we all have those leadership qualities, and you do seek a minimum of two councillors within the policy. Are you able just to read the legislation once more?
Yeah, sure.
Is that, because it sounds like your responsibility is to conduct the appraisal, and that doesn't necessarily extend to the panel of people.
Yeah.
That?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely within your rights to.
Okay.
The amendment that you
So
put up is
legislatively
absolutely
speaking,
legal. Yeah,
I'm
no,
okay.
I'm putting my case forward to say that I guess my intent was to put that the deputy mayor would be there, and then open it up to the rest of the councils to see who would like to fill that position.
And I feel, why not bring that into the public forum and say, well, let's decide as a group who does that.
Mm-hmm. And, okay.
Could I,
Yes, please.
Mayor, could I just clarify the advice from HR again, please?
The advice I had from Davidson's.
Yes, no, the advice you had from the HR department, you mentioned them before?
Oh, I guess in employing Davidson's, the CEO, I'll let you find over. When I asked you for some support in this area, what actions you took?
I suggested a number of organisations that traditionally conduct that in local government. Because of, I guess, my long history in local government, most of those organisations I've worked with and dealt with in the past. As a result, we went out for quotes to a number of organisations that I understand perhaps traditionally have not been, have expertise in human resources, but not necessarily traditionally been involved in the local government sector. And so in this space. So haven't been involved in that process, but I understand our HR team and the General Manager of Corporate Services have been involved in sourcing advice and support.
And I can confirm my very first time I've met the people and knew who was on there was yesterday. I think at 12:30, 11:30 was the Zoom call. And I can confirm that all three people I've never met or heard of before. One of them, I believe, does know you, I think from your long-term experience, CEO in the local government. Yes, so I'm going on the advice that they're giving me. I think it's very important, noting, I think CEO, both of us, our predecessors have ended up in jail, and so we want to make sure that we do follow the Local Government Act and follow this, and that's why I've asked for that HR support to make sure that we do have the proper governance.
Yeah, I commend you for that, Mayor. But I just think that that the council should decide. If we're deciding that there should be councillor representation on it, we should decide that ourselves.
And that's your, I guess, Councillor Guzman?
Do you envisage that we put forward names now, or that we create a situation where people may express an interest?
My only
If I
amendment
could do a
is
clarification,
that
so if I'm speaking, we're talking about the policy now, so we're just discussing the policy. I guess if Councillor Fechner's motion does get up, then that would be another decision that we'll do. Yes. Any other discussion? Yes.
No, nothing from me.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just add that I think any opportunity we have to do our decision making in the public view, I think that's a good transparency outcome. You've been committed to that. It's not just a catchphrase. You've come through on a lot of reforms in that regard. I think this is a amendment that Councillor Fechner has put forward that we can all get around, and it'll be a good outcome. People can have faith in us because they can see why and how and what and when and where.
Yep. Thank you. Yes, Councillor Milligan?
I'm just reading the amendment on the screen, and I don't know about the wordage. We've got resolve twice. Resolved to be resolved by council.
It refers to be in twice because it's just saying the council selects.
Yeah, that council selects. Oh, okay. Thank you.
So which one are we removing?
No,
we'll
they
leave
both
that.
stay in.
Oh, they both, sorry.
They stay in. Okay.
No, well, before the vote, I guess I'll just close off by saying under the Act, it is one of the extra responsibilities that I have. I would like to be able to appoint the Deputy Mayor each year when we go through this process, and then open it up to each of you in a very open way, so everyone has an equal opportunity in a transparent way, as I've always done so in here, and be given that opportunity as opposed to, coming to another way. But that's my approach, that I'd like to do a vote to see if Councillor Fechner's amendment should be put forward. For those in favour, please raise your hand. We've got Councillor Ireland, Councillor Fechner, Councillor Madsen, Councillor Doyle, Councillor Milligan, Councillor Tully, Councillor Johnnick have voted for that. Those against? Myself and Councillor Kunzelman. So your amendment was carried?
It becomes the motion.
It becomes the motion.
Point of order, Mr.
Yes.
Mayor. Were there persons abstaining? No.
Oh, sorry, my apologies. Did you not put your hand
I
up?
put my hand up, but I was asked if anyone was abstaining.
Well, everyone's put their hand up. All nine of us have put our hand up. No one's abstained.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any others? Thank you. So now we'll go back to the recommendation. So we've had the policy amended. So I'll just keep going through that. Point number 6.2. You might scroll down just so people are clarifying what the changes are in the policy.
Oh, the actual policy
Yeah,
itself,
yeah.
sorry.
So 6.2 is taken out, and 6.8
Yes.
is that? It's resolved by council. Thank you.
Foreshadowed amendment you can move if you choose.
But that one's already.
You're still cues in the rack if you wish to move it.
No, I think that, it's 7-2. I think the people have spoken, and that's the way it goes. Thank you.
You need to move the motion.
Yes. So you've already had a mover and a seconder for this. Do we need to do that again?
No, the amendment becomes the motion,
Yes.
and so you just put it.
Right, okay. I'll leave it to you, Vicky, to add that amendment into the motion. Doing very well, Mr. Police.
So you've got A and B, and then you've got the amendments, the 3 amendments.
Okay. I'll get to the stop so everyone can sort of read it from the top. Do you mind if we go from the top so everyone can see the recommendations A and B and the amendments? Is everyone clear on the amendments that have been made? Thank you. I won't exercise the foreshadowed motion, so, yep. So we'll move on to the vote of recommendation A and B, noting those amendments in the policy. Right.
Was the vote?
Yep, okay. Those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous. Thank you very much. I think that's the last item for the day. There's nothing else. I now close the meeting at 5:54.
2:54.
Sorry, 2:54.
Oh,
Thank you very much. Thanks.